friends. Okay, so hopefully this works. I'm in my new location today. I'm in my studio, which also serves as storage for all the clothes that are too big, and my beautiful geek wall behind me. Anyway, so I'm really excited. Today's the first, I don't know where to look. Oh, the camera's right there. The first time I'm going to be talking about a specific hymn, and I'm going to kind of tell you what I've learned about it, and hopefully I can figure out how to put my images in the video while I'm talking so you don't have to look at my face the whole time. First song we're going to talk about today is Lead Kindly Light. Now, I put some feelers out for people's stories, and I actually didn't get very much response for this one, like none. But that's okay. That's okay. I found it interesting. Anyway, so the words are, the author his name is John Henry Newman, and I just did a quick Google search and read like what he said on Wikipedia, and I didn't read the whole thing because I have ADHD and it was really long. But he was a theologian. How do you say that? Theologian? Sure, theologian. And he was a poet. He actually started out as an Anglican priest, and then later he was a Catholic priest and a cardinal. But he really, I guess he was kind of controversial because there was this thing called the Oxford movement, which I had never heard of in my whole life. But pretty much some priests like this guy thought, the Anglican Church really should go back to the Church of England. Because remember, the Anglican Church had split off when King Henry VIII wanted... This part I know. Look, I know something from history. That's pretty exciting to me. So King Henry VIII wanted to divorce his wife, but the Church of England didn't allow that, so he split off to the Anglican Church. Or maybe the Church of England was the Anglican Church. Maybe that's what it was. Anyway, the Anglican Church, some people wanted it to go back to its roots and be part of, what's that, the Church of England or the Catholic Church? The Anglicans who wished to return to the Church of England. Anyway, he was part of that. I don't know what all he did, because like I said, it was really long. But this song that he wrote was actually kind of literal. He was on a boat ride. I learned this from my white book that I told you about. Let me find it again. I had it like all bookmarked and everything. Here it is. He wrote this gosh, I did the wrong one. He wrote it on a boat ride. He was having some boat trouble. I think he was on his way back to London. And there was a storm, and their boat was having issues, and everybody was scared, and they didn't know if they'd make it. So he wrote the song. Also, side note, in the song it talks about angel faces. He said those actually probably weren't literal. They were probably the joys and hopes we have in times of faith. So, yeah, it was a boat ride from Sicily to England. They were stuck for a week in this. And there was malaria on the ship, so add that to not so fun. So when he was wishing for England, it was like wishing for heaven's light. And he'd kind of actually started to not believe as much, but this experience kind of brought him back. But then, here's a fun note. The guy who wrote the music, his name is John Bacchus Dykes. He is crazy talented. He started playing organ for his church by the time he was 10. Okay. I have 3 kids that are over the age of 10. There is no way that would have happened. Like, it's nuts. So he started playing the organ by the time he was 10, but then at one point in his life, so he'd always played for church, but he wasn't like super religious or anything, until he heard somebody sing. That somebody was Jenny Lind. I don't know if you remember on Greatest Showman, she was the redhead girl, which, side note, she was not a seductress in real life. They cut the tour short. I can't remember why, but there was a legit reason. It had nothing to do with seducing. And here's a funny side note. After I watched that movie, I became a little bit obsessed. I love that movie. I watched that movie while I gave birth. That's how much we love that movie. But I came and I was watching all these YouTube videos about... I look weird today. About the truth parts and the not. Did you know that if a movie is inspired by a true story, that means, like, pretty much only the names are the same. But if it's based on a true story, then they stick close. Well, Greatest Showman is inspired by, so most of it isn't real. And most people go into that knowing it. Other people get really disappointed that things aren't the same. Anyway, I watched this video about like things that were the same on it and things that weren't. And instead of pointing out the storyline differences for Jenny Lind, they're like, oh yeah, she was soprano, not an alto. Because that's more important to point out than that she wasn't a seductress. Anyway, I just think it's funny. But anyway, so the John Bacchus Dykes heard Jenny Lind sing and then devoted his life to God after that. Isn't that cool? Anyway, but I want to tell you about my paintings. So the first one that I painted, I actually painted these during the election, and I was having a really, really, really hard time. I'm not going to tell you who I voted for, because that's not important, but pretty much the thing I struggled with the most was it didn't matter who you voted for. Half of the world was angry at you, even if you didn't vote for one of those two people, which I didn't. Anyway, and I had to take a break from Facebook because people were brutal on all sides, and it was horrible. And I'm already having panic attacks about the next election, because I'm like, I don't want that to be again. We need world peace, not like fighting about who's gonna win. Anyway, so I was having a really hard time personally and emotionally. So I was painting these, and this was way at the beginning. These are some of the first ones I did. And then I actually used these cool watercolor pens. If I can find the link, which ones they are, I'll put a link in the description. They were a fun way to learn. I don't use them very much anymore, but that's why this style is a little bit different. But anyway, so the first one is a lamp post, and I was originally going to paint a fairy on it because it's Geek Girl and I wanted it geeky, but my husband was like, you can't put a fairy on a hymn. Okay, I've already changed my thing, and if you want a fairy on a hymn, will you tell me? Because I totally want to paint one, but not unless I know there's a market for it, or that isn't dumb. Like, I don't want to be sacrilegious, right? That's not my point. My point is to find two things that people like and blend them together. So the art and the song, that's the whole point of this thing. I want to bring the spirit into people's homes, but I don't see why a fairy can't contribute. Why not? Anyway, so the first is a lamppost. I get most of my inspiration from Pinterest. I'm fine-tuning how I work this, but that one was a lamp that you could buy at like Pottery Barn or something, but then I tweaked it so that it was a little more whimsical. The other one's a garden, and I don't know where I got the inspiration for that one. I don't know if I got it from a photo, or if it came to my head, or it was a combination of the two. I don't know, but that's one of my best sellers, the garden one with the lamppost, which I think is interesting because on the lamppost there's a blemish that I couldn't fix. And I feel like it's fairly obvious, but people still buy that one a lot, so hopefully they love it. Anyway, still one of my favorites. I don't have any personal stories of other people to tell you this time, but next time I do one of these of I'm a Child of God, there'll be lots of stories. So if you have a story, please comment so that other people can read your stories, and hopefully I'll be able to adjust my camera settings, and maybe next time I'll put makeup on and do my hair. What a novel idea. Also on this YouTube channel, I'm going to have videos of people singing the hymns. Most of the time it will be my daughter, but if you would like to contribute, will you just shoot me a message, because I would love to feature the people who watch and who love the hymns on my channel. Anyway, thank you for listening.